Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Biz Talk. I am interviewing Priscilla Stephan, an intuitive business coach, and we are discussing how to find your zone of genius. This was an amazing interview, an amazing conversation. It was so deep that I even forgot that we were filming. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, share, leave some reviews if you are listening to it on Anchor, Spotify, or Apple. Leave some reviews and let me know what you think. If you are watching it on YouTube, leave some comments and I'll see you on the other side. Hi everybody. Hello and welcome. We have an amazing guest today, Priscilla Stephan, an amazing business strategist. I looked at her profile and I was like, wow. And she has graced us with a presence today. We needed her here because I often get so many questions about establishing your zone of genius. Tanya, how do you do this? How do I get this right? I'm not sure what I want to do online. And I went out and found you somebody who's going to help you with this. So if this is your first time seeing me on the live or listening to the podcast, this is Biz Talk with Tanya, where we talk everything entrepreneurship marketing. And now I am going to ask Priscilla to introduce herself, the beautiful Priscilla, smiling Priscilla. Please tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, thank you for having me. And hi, everyone. I'm Priscilla Stephan. I'm an intuitive business strategist and leadership coach based out of San Diego, California. I work primarily with soul-driven, service-based women entrepreneurs who are looking to build sustainable businesses that also allow them to live and enjoy their lives and that are going to change the world and make it a better place.
Oh my gosh. You're making moves. You're making serious moves. And I wanted to quickly ask you, because I saw you have a beautiful quiz and I took it and it was so on point. So I wanted to find out more about this quiz. How did you come up with this quiz?
So first, can I ask you, what was your result?
I'll send you my results.
I want to know because it would be fun to share about, a little bit about. You use your archetype as an example if you want, but if you don't want to, that's okay too.
Because for me, it felt like you were in my head.
In your head?
It felt like you were in my head. Like I was like, she has never met me. How did you come up with this?
Yeah, so the quiz, anyone can take it at priscillastephan.com or priscillastephan.com/quiz. It takes 3 minutes. It's totally free. And there are 5 leadership archetypes. And pretty much the quiz will identify the archetype that you have been leading from predominantly in so far. And so the profile really helps you to identify what is your why. Why are you pulled to lead? What are your innate gifts and challenges? What is your natural leadership style? What are other leaders that are like you? And then how do you start to apply this information into your business so that you showcase your talents? So you are being more of yourself instead of going against the grain and doing things that you don't want to be doing. I think you froze there a little bit. And so there are five archetypes, and this is a body of work that I developed, helping you understand how you naturally lead from the soul level. There you are. You're coming back. I've still been chatting. So,
okay, we are back.
So there are 5 archetypes. There's the mystic, which I am the mystic. The mystic is dominant motivation to lead is to create harmony and to elevate consciousness. Our primary gifts are intuition, creativity, and intuition and healing. There's the visionary, which is the disruptor, really here to go against the grain and innovate. There's the strategist, which are very data and process driven. There is the explorer that's very much about traveling and experiencing the world in real time. And then there's the divine feminine, which is about building community, collaboration, we rise together. And so, I mean, so many people use archetypes. It's a great way to understand yourself, your beliefs, your patterns, the energies that you express best in the world. And so it's a nice way for you to understand yourself as a leader, and then how to apply your natural leadership talents at a soul level into how you run your business. So you're not trying to be someone you're not. You're not trying to follow outside strategies that sound good on paper, but that just don't feel aligned or resonant. And it's about that sense of alignment between your natural talents, your vision, your goals. And so it can be a really, really cool framework to help you understand yourself better. Like you said, oh gosh, it sounds like she knows me already. And that confirmation that, yeah, this is what I'm good at, you know? And I even had a colleague say to me, once I realized that I was this kind of an archetype, in her case, a visionary, she said, I just stopped doing everything that was not in alignment with my strengths. And typical visionary, she was very efficient about it. And it was really cool to hear that. So it just gives us permission, confirmation, peace of mind, and confidence to encourage, to show up authentically as ourselves, which I think is what we're craving from our leaders more and more, that they're authentic, they're genuine, they're transparent, and that they are real. So
definitely, hey, we definitely crave that. Priscilla, so how did you get started on this journey as a business strategist?
It started 10 years ago when I started out as a health coach. I was 30 pounds heavier, about 12, 15 kilos heavier than I am now. And for 30 years, I would always, eat a lot of chocolate and cake. And I would, if I was sad, I would eat. If I was happy, I would eat. If I was angry, I would eat. And so I went to health coaching school as a way to work on my own issues, eating disorders, disordered eating, emotional eating. And then I got a coaching certification from that. And then I was a health coach for almost 4 years. And then I came upon this thing called the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are a way to tap into someone's guides, their soul guides, and to channel information for people, for them to live their purpose, to have a good life. And I realized that as I was doing intuitive readings for people, that I had a talent for reading, for helping people with their business. And so then I changed my business out of health coaching and into intuitive business, so that I was helping people live their purpose through their business, through a combination of soul channeled, intuitive reading guidance in the records, and also practical business strategy. And then 4 years ago, my own guides asked me to start writing a book, to channel a book that was this body of work on leadership, soul-driven leadership archetypes. And so it's been an evolution. I think that, I think we're always evolving, but it's definitely been an unexpected evolution of what the next step is,
Definitely. I agree. I can understand with the evolution of a journey. I definitely have been in similar situations where I felt like I have evolved in my journey and grown into where I needed to be, because sometimes when you start out, you can't actually figure out the way, right? And then eventually you start figuring out that, okay, this route is taking me this way, and actually start being grateful for the entire journey, because when you started out, you didn't really understand where you were going and why you had to go through everything that you were going through.
Exactly.
But it eventually makes sense.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had no idea. I just started, and then I was like, okay, I'll figure it out as I go along.
I know that feeling too well. So I know that you help people figure out the zone of genius. and so that I can live the life of purpose. So this is going, and when you say that, when I was looking for podcast guests, I was like, this is it. I need to have her on Biz Talk, because a lot of people struggle with figuring out their zone of genius. They just feel, I know that growing up, I had that issue where you feel that there's everything presented to you, but somehow you feel that it doesn't fit with who you are supposed to be and what you're supposed to do with your life. But everybody's telling you to be a lawyer, is telling you to be a doctor, is telling you to be an engineer, but somehow it doesn't fit, it doesn't gel. So I wanted to ask you, how can somebody starting out, trying to figure out, or trying to start over, how do they figure out what they are good at?
Well, I think that's why assessments are so valuable. First of all, like the archetypes, my archetypes, the soul fluent leadership archetypes are one example of identifying and assessing what you're naturally good at, right? So that's just one example. But there are so many, right? There's Myers-Briggs, there's Strengths Finders. There are many different assessments that can help you, give you an insight into where you at least lean, in terms of strengths. And I had the same problem. So I think assessments can be helpful to some degree if you don't, if you don't make them your God, and just give all your power away to the assessment. It's just a tool to give you some insight and maybe refine, shorten the spectrum of all the options. And then, I know it's cliche, people have said this all the time, but just noticing, what do you enjoy doing naturally? Both in terms of skills, talents, and also industries that you like. Like I love everything from jewelry to chocolate to food to counseling people. People always came to me for counseling, but the traditional idea of being a psychologist or a therapist or a psychiatrist seemed very cumbersome and taxing. And so I didn't want that. And like you, I did not want to do the traditional path of being a lawyer, working in finance, or being a journalist, and it was really challenging, and I think my motto is, I'm just going to keep going, and eventually the next step will appear. And so, and by keep going, it doesn't mean just waiting. It just means, I'm going to be curious here. I'm going to try this thing there. And it's been that way, just hoping that, I will get a little insight here, meet someone there, that can tell me about this, so it's kind of like a fishing expedition. You're just fishing around, and so I never thought about being a coach. I didn't know that health coaches existed. I didn't want to do leadership ever. But it was just, I just stayed on my path, and I was like, okay, what is that next step? What is that next step? Does it feel true? Does it feel genuine? Does it feel like the right next step? Am I afraid? Yes. Do I know where I'm going? No. Am I scared? Absolutely. But does it feel like that next step? And so that's really, and then also trusting that the people, the resources, the email, the postcard, something will show up if you're just, focused on, okay, what's that next step to find. But also it does require that inner attuning to, does this feel true? Does this feel out of alignment? Does this feel like something I could enjoy? Or what I always say, does this feel light and expansive and true? Or does this feel heavy and out of alignment? And so it's a way to refine your inner compass of trusting yourself on the path, which I think is really for mystics and people that have careers out of the box, is to trust your inner knowing that even if you don't know where you're going, you trust that you're on the right path of not knowing. Does that make sense?
I totally makes sense, because I love that you touched on the fact that you don't have to have it all figured out to actually start on your journey. I love that you definitely touched on that, because a lot of times you feel like, oh man, I haven't gotten this figured out in my head yet. This is, I feel, because you know that you feel. I know that when I made the transition from corporate to being an entrepreneur, I felt that it was time. I felt that I was tapped out. I was completely tapped out with the system, and I had tried to fit into the mold, and at a point, I remember telling my family that if I don't quit, and it's not that I quit because there was no money, but I told my family, if I don't quit, I'll commit suicide because I don't feel that I am living in my purpose. I don't feel that I am doing what I am meant to do. And ironically, just like you, I didn't even know that coaching existed. I didn't even know that I was coaching people when I was helping them. And then one of my friends once then told me, Tanya, you could, people could totally pay you to motivate them and show them how to do things. I was like, what you mean? And she was like, don't you know that you could have a career out of this and make money out of helping people figure out their lives? I was like, no. And she was like, but you're the one who studied the most, and how come? I'm like, but I didn't know this. I didn't know that I was coaching people even without knowing it. So I'm grateful that you actually mentioned that sometimes things just align, right? You get signs, you get the signs that you are supposed to take a particular route, and when you don't take it, eventually that's when like your body just starts rejecting everything else.
Yeah, and I think it's that fine line between distinguishing the fear that comes from the excitement of something new, right? Taking that leap versus the fear of, God, I'm afraid, but I also know that where I am is not for me, right? You've outgrown it. Mm-hmm. You're just, it's not part of the next chapter. And maybe seeing life as chapters or cycles or seasons, Mm-hmm. And, I think it's also, there's so many gurus out there that talk about, you got to have your vision, you got to know your why, you got to do all these things. And I'm like, I think that can also trip us up a little bit. I don't know. I mean, here's what I believe. I believe in my being that, if we have more people operating, working in their jobs or in their careers or their businesses from a place of their natural talents, that they will be happier, and we will, as a planet, benefit more from their gifts, right? Because we have gifts, I think, for a reason to be used if we want to. And so, and I've always been fascinated by this inquiry. Why do people do what they do? I've always been fascinated. Like, what motivates someone to fly out of a plane, or someone to have children, or someone to be an entrepreneur? I'm fascinated by human behavior. So, and I have always longed to have a sense of purpose, and that just feels what's really exciting for me, to help people get that sense of fulfillment and excitement. But beyond that, I don't have like a vision of building a movement. I don't have a need to impact millions necessarily. What is important to me is that I'm living my truth, that I'm happy, that I'm healthy, that I live a well-balanced life, because I've burned out twice. I've had panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I've had some major, more health issues than I've ever had before because of the anxiety of running a business and moving and then meeting my husband, and so many, even good things. I tell people, even good change is stressful, and so, and managing a business isn't easy. And so, I think it's just important to ask ourselves, what does success mean to us? Like, what values matter the most to us? You know what I mean?
I definitely know what you mean right there. What does success mean to you? Your success doesn't necessarily have to be somebody else's success. And I have to say this, and I say this with love, that the coaching industry can tend to be a little bit superfluous. Like, it's very much into the figures, like, a 5-figure
lifestyle,
month.
Right?
In the lifestyle, yes. Like, I've had a 5-figure month. And sometimes you are out there maybe doing the work that you need to be doing, touching the lives of the people that you need to touch, and you feel that you are not being adequate enough because maybe your business is not bringing 6 figures a month, or 6 figure a year, or 4 figures. So can you tell me a little bit, like, maybe if somebody is watching this or listens to this and feels that, okay, I feel like I'm living in my purpose, but I feel that financially the impact is not there, what would you tell somebody going through that and thinking that, especially in the coaching industry?
I know, yeah, and I've had a lot of tough times. Sometimes like last year I had a wonderful year. Things just seem to just move very easily, and then this year it's been harder. It's just felt like getting a lot more no's than I would normally, and so things flow. But I'm also just finishing up a book, and frankly, I needed to focus so much on the book and less on clients. But here's the thing: I think there are a couple of things. I think it's about I think it's just valuable to ask yourself, why are you in your business? How do you want it to fulfill you? I think it's also important to not to be mindful of associating our sense of worth and identity and value with the work that we do. I think in the coaching industry, we associate a lot of this, I've got to make an impact. I've got to live my purpose. I've got to do the work. There you are. You're coming back. Yes, there you go.
Yeah,
so I think that, the coaching industry does emphasize not just the money and the lifestyle, but also, we've got to make an impact. We've got to make a change in the world. But I want to make sure that we're asking also, is this business making an impact in my life for the good, right? Or not? Like in terms of your well-being, in terms of your relationships, are you living things just seem to just move very easily? And then this year it's been harder. It's just felt like getting a lot more no's than I would normally. And so, things flow, but I'm also just finishing up a book. And frankly, I needed to focus so much on the book and less on clients. But here's the thing. I think there are a couple of things. I think it's about, I think it's just valuable to ask yourself, why are you in your business? How do you want it to fulfill you? I think it's also important to not to be mindful of associating our sense of worth and identity and value with the work that we do. I think in the coaching industry, we associate a lot of this, I've got to make an impact. I've got to live my purpose. I've got to do the work. Change in the world. But I want to make sure that we're asking also, is this business making an impact in my life for the good, right? Or not? Like in terms of your well-being, in terms of your relationships, are you living a healthy life? That to me is important, where you have time for relationships, time for your husband, time for your friends, time for yourself. And is it also nourishing you financially? And only you can know what that sense of that figure is. Is it enough for you do you want to, like, I'm 47 now. So I'm thinking about retirement. I'm thinking about buying a house. So, is the business, do I want that, do I want the business to support? Yeah. So I think that, I've been a coach now for 10 years. And so I think that, my fuel in doing this work and in being a coach is helping people live their purpose and feel like I'm doing something meaningful and worthwhile. I also think it's important that as we think about making an impact in the world, making sure that our businesses are also making an impact, a positive impact on our lives. Of course, there will be stressful times. Of course, business will be challenging. There will be ups and downs. But is your business giving you not just, that sense of purpose, but also is it nourishing you in other ways? Is it giving you money? Is it giving you whatever it is that you want from it that is important? Because especially as I was saying, I'm 47 now. And for me, I have certain life goals about buying a house, saving for retirement. And so I think that many of us accept not making a lot of money as a coach because we think that, we're doing good in the world. I'm living my purpose and that's enough. But my question then becomes, is that really in alignment also with your financial goals? And are you taking care of your money, as well? And what matters to you for your financial health and well-being? And yes, and if people want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram, Priscilla Stephan. I'm also on my website, priscillastephan.com. If you want to take the quiz, it's 3 minutes. It's free right on there. And my newsletter really has great content for you to build your business and to really become that genuine leader that you are in the world, authentic and you can share your gifts.
So do you have courses? Do you have coaching programs?
Yes, I work primarily one-on-one with clients. My clients are already more established in their business and they're service-based, and they're looking to, they either are in a growth mode or they're maxed out with one-on-one clients and they need to restructure their business model so that it's more spacious and they have more flexibility and more freedom. So they can have it all, right? They can have a thriving business, they work less, and they also make really good money and take care of themselves, you know?
Okay, fantastic. So anybody out here, anybody listening, please get in touch with Priscilla. She's fantastic. She's very friendly, very approachable, and I'm sure you're going to have a whole lot of fun working with her. So
Thank
on
you.
that note, we are wrapping up. I am so grateful that you agreed to do this and that you
Thank you
accepted
for
the
inviting me.
invitation.
Yeah.
I hope we get. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you, and I hope we can do this again in the near future.
Me too. Me too. Thank you so much for having me. And bye, everyone. And remember, you do have zones of genius. Your gifts do matter, and share them with us. We're ready for them.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.